Hi, how are you guys? Everybody okay? Okay. Oh, yeah. Are we all set to go with this? Okay. I have 60 minutes to turn you into a great teacher, okay? We've talked about, I'm sure, I got here late because I missed the tunnel. Okay. But I'm sure you've been talking about a lot of technical things like how to, or you will, how to fill out the form and how to find this and how to find that. And we have to, on the socio-emotional level of our students and all of that. And that's super, super important. Just to start off, this last semester at CPM, I made a student cry. Okay, it was terrible. It was just terrible. But it was actually kind of good that she started crying. We talked about that because then we had a nice WhatsApp conversation about why she was crying. And then I got some of her history, and I led her in the direction of something that I hope will really help her. But I feel still terrible that I made her cry. Okay, I confessed. There, I'm done. Okay, we're gonna turn you into teachers that don't make your students cry. How about that? Okay? I want you to think about a great teacher that you had in your life. Got it? Really great teacher, okay? What were the qualities that made this person a really great teacher? Okay. Here's mine. That's Mr. McKeenan from East High School in Denver, Colorado. He was American, but he pretended to be British when we read Shakespeare. He told us that things like it's important to marry somebody that it's okay to see them on the toilet and it's okay to see them picking their nose, because you will, okay? Just life lessons, you know, that kind of thing. He was a great teacher, and I remember him until today for a lot of different things. But one of the things was that he didn't embarrass us. He didn't make us feel bad. He really, really, really was passionate about what he was doing. And I think you need to remember your favorite teacher, your great teacher, which isn't always your favorite teacher, but your great teacher, as we go through this. I moved too far away from something. Wait. I always mess this up. There we go. I have to be here. Are you an English teacher? Raise your hand if you are a professional English teacher. Ooh, my people are here. Okay. The professional English teachers are here. You guys are so important. Raise your hand if you're a web designer or sort of internet-y person. Okay. Engineers, raise your hand. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Lawyers, doctors, nurses. What else do we have here? People who work in the service industry. Few of you. All right. There's every possibility of kinds of people in here. Right? And there are some of the professional English teachers, but you are the minority, my loves, okay? So you might not be an English teacher in real life, and as a result, I think your question is, oh my God, I have to teach English. What do I do? How many of you feel like that right now? Yeah, it's good to be nice to your students and not make them cry and all of those things. It's really good, but one of the things that is elemental is, what do I do? I'm going to teach, okay? And so I'm going to just give you a little bit of the story here. This is me when I first started teaching, probably about 30, 35 years ago. And I was much, much younger. And what was my biggest worry before I started teaching? The night before I started teaching, I was very scared about one thing. Any ideas? Some people always say, like, will I connect with my students? Or will my students like me? Or will I pass on the material correctly? Or will I understand the grammar? My concern was, do I stand up or do I sit down? That's how innocent and scared I was. I didn't know to be thinking about, will I teach them grammar? I didn't think about that. What I thought about was, do I stand up or sit down? And this is... I got in there and quickly realized, boy, that's a stupid way to spend the night. My problems are bigger than that. And now I'm pretty much an experienced teacher, and this is what I do when I teach. This is how my normal teaching position, I am that good, okay? So I understand totally where you're coming from. I totally understand what you're afraid of, what you're worried about, and what's going on in your brains, if, in fact, you are feeling a little bit of stress about what's going to happen when you get into the classroom. So, you might be nervous, right? And I have really, really, really good news for you. You're gonna leave in about 50 minutes and go, oh, okay, it's okay. Okay, that doesn't make it easy, but it makes the path very clear, okay? The good news is that you have a teacher's book, okay? Okay, a teacher's book. When I started teaching, I never used a teacher's book because I was a native speaker and I knew everything and I didn't need the answers because all the teacher's book had was the answers and I knew the answers, so why would I look at that book, right? Right. I didn't need to look at the stupid teacher's books. That's for other people. Okay? And then I became an editor at a publishing house, okay? And I saw some things that they were doing with teacher's books. And then I became an author. This is a flashcard that one of my students actually made, imagining that's what I look like, okay? The hair is about right, I guess. But I became an author, and I saw that publishers spend a lot of time and energy with these teachers' books, okay? So I have worked with a lot of publishers, a lot of them. These are different people that I've worked for. I've either edited books for or I have written books for, okay? And I know that they're all very different. They all have different approaches to what the markets that they're trying to reach and everything, but they have one thing in common. There's one thing that they want. What do they want? Help teachers? No. The number one thing. I learned this when I worked in a restaurant in Colorado, and the manager had a meeting with us and said, what's the number one thing we want? And I said, serve good food. And he's like, no, they want to make money, okay? They want to make money, and it's a truth. They don't want to admit that. They want to say, serve good food, help teachers, teach English. But to do that, they have to make money. Let's get down to the basics. And one of the publishers was here when I did this presentation one time and kind of got offended. But it's a bottom line. If you don't make money, you don't pay anybody. So they want to do that, and the question is how to do that. How are they going to make money? They're going to make money by making you happy, right? So they go out into the field and they talk to professional English teachers. Some of my folk here probably have talked to publishers. What do you need? What do you want? What is aggravating? What's hard? What is frustrating? What happens in your life? How much time do you have? Do you look at the teacher's book? When you look at the teacher's book, what do you look at? Okay? And they got the answers. And so what they do is they put these things in the teacher's book so that you are happy. And if you are happy, you will want to use the book again next semester, which means that students will buy the book and they get what they want, which is to make money, right? Right. Okay, let's just be clear about that. And that's good. That's good for everybody, right? A good capitalist that I am. All right. I did not vote for Trump. I am, by the way, I am enraged. I am enraged, okay? Anybody who's my friend on Facebook is like, you talk about politics too much. No, I don't. And by the way, I run the marches in Brazil. We meet in front of the consulate. So against guns, we meet in front of the consulate. Just try to find me because I'm there like, all right. Because I can't stand it. So we're going to make people, we're going to try to make the teachers happy. The publishers want you to be happy. They want you to be comfortable. They want you to have everything that you need. But if you don't know where to find these things, you're not going to be happy and comfortable, correct? Correct. So I am really wondering how this thing works. So what do I do? That is the big question. You have to use your teacher's book, okay? And you're going to get one. When you start teaching, they'll tell you what group you're teaching, and then you go and you get your teacher's book, all right? So your teacher's book is your map. Your teacher's book tells you how to go from here to here very clearly and very easily, okay? The good news is that it's interleaved. My friends, the teachers here know what that means. Do the rest of you know what that means? No, okay. I'm going to show you. You want to be my volunteer? You're already halfway up the hill. Okay. On my way here, my water bottle spilled all over my teacher's book. So it's wet. I'm sorry. Come up here. You have to stand right here. Okay, it's wet. I'm sorry. Okay, you feel that? Ugh. All right. Okay, hold it here. Like this.
Wet.
It is wet down at the bottom. Okay, so what we have is, in a teacher's book, and this is so awesome, this is what interleaved means. Here is the page that the student sees. Here is the other page that the student sees. The student sees this and this, okay? What's this mess in the middle? What's all this? This is information for you. Ah, okay, so what do I mean? I mean, you look at this on the student's book page and you go, how am I going to teach that? What do I do? Where do I begin? The book says, here's a warm-up activity that you can do. Okay, you need to do this warm-up activity. Here are the answers. Here's what's on the CD or the audio. Here's everything that you need. Now, you need to ask students to look at the pictures and talk about what they see. Then ask the students to read this little thing. To have a discussion about what that means. Then do this, then do that, then do this. Right? Then you go to number 2. Oh, God, what do I do here? This is a dialogue. Okay, you go here. It says, ask students to look at the picture and discuss what they see. Then ask one student to read this, then play the audio. Play the audio again. Ask students what they've understood. Ask students to look at the questions over here. Do this. Right? And then, typically, I'll say, now turn your page. And they're like, we don't need to turn the page. I need to turn the page. So I turn the page. Okay? I always do it. They're like, what? Turn the page? So then here's a grammar activity. Here's your grammar activity. You go, how do I teach the grammar? Ask students to look at the grammar box. And blah, blah, blah. And then to ask them to discuss. Ask them to find an example over here of the point that we're making here. Ask them to do this, ask them to do that. Now we have some pictures. Bunch of pictures. Right here it describes what to do with all those pictures. Right? And then we have something over here. What do I do with that? Play the CD or play the audio. It's all here because the publishers want you to be comfortable. They don't want you to be teaching off a book and do a bad job. They want you to do a good job. They want you to have extra ideas. They want you to have fun. They want the students to have fun. Why? Because they want to make money. But that's okay. That's fine. Everybody's happy in this situation. Does that make sense what I'm talking about now? Are you happy now? Can I go home? No, well, almost. Okay. Thank you very much. Our good volunteer here. Woohoo! Yeah, I thought I lost this now. Okay. I'm old. I can't remember things. Okay, so this is what interleaved means. So there. You have, well, this is what the student sees. This is what you see. Getting started. Do this, do that, do this, do that. Okay? Okay? It feels better already, doesn't it? Yeah. You just follow this thing and you're okay. Kind of. But you do. All right. When do you look at your teacher's book? Every time. And like when you start the class, as the students are looking at the pictures, you're looking at the teacher's book and figuring out what to do, right? No. Very good. Okay. You're going to do it not at the same time. And this is what I feel like. It happens to everybody. I do this sometimes. Look at exercise 1. Oh, God, what do I do? Okay. All right? Don't do that. Don't be that teacher. It happens sometimes. But if you can be prepared, you can be, I'm having real problems. I'm going to go over here. You can be this guy. Don't you want to be that guy? Right? Where you are ready a week in advance. Many of you will be teaching in pairs with another teacher. If you're teaching with another person, a week in advance, and you read what you're going to do in your next class, that gives you time to think about, ooh, I could do a fun song. I need to call my partner and see, is he going to teach 1, 2, 3, 8, 4, 5, 6? What am I going to do? What is he going to do? There you are. Hi, Angela. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who's going to teach what? And you discuss it with your partner. You can think about, they have the greatest game here, but they need some flashcards. I need to make some flashcards. Or I need to get this thing. Or this reminds me of a class I had when I was in high school. Blah, blah, blah. If you do it in advance, you have time to really think. And when you do it in advance, teaching is fun. Teaching is not fun when you're under stress and doing it all at the same time, trying to figure out on the spot. Okay? the things here. Okay. So, in a teacher's book, you are going to find many, many, many things. For example, what are we doing in this class? Because publishers try to hide that a little bit. Like, so it's not really obvious. We're teaching the past simple. They try to hide it in a dialogue a little bit because students have a tendency to say, I don't like grammar, okay? So they tell you, what are we doing? What's the vocabulary that we're teaching? What is the functional language that we're teaching? What functional language being, I'm sorry, little expressions like, I'm sorry, may I borrow your pen? That kind of thing. What is the grammar that we're teaching? Vocabulary. It tells you what's in there. It gives you warm-up activities. It gives you the audio material. It gives you games. It gives you material that is homework, extra stuff that you can do. It gives you pair work. It gives you group work. It gives you it gives you the answers, which is what I thought they had, that's all. It gives you songs. It gives you online activities that they can do at home. And it gives you tests. Okay? All of these things are things that if you didn't have a teacher's book, you'd have to think, do I want those things? Do I need those things? Are those things good? Yeah. They are, and that's what the publishers have figured out that the teachers need. You guys do need these things, and as you start looking through your book, before you even start teaching the first lesson, look through the book and see all the stuff that's in there. For example, at the back of the book, there's in the book that I'm using, a little Unit 9 summary, and it has all the grammar and all the vocabulary. So I make a copy of that before the test and give it to my students. Now you have a week. Let's see how we're doing with those things. That kind of thing that you need to just look through your book to find. There's all kinds of surprises in there that will be helpful to you, okay? You can use your book for a clearly thought out program. You don't have to think, what do I do next? The book will tell you what to do next, okay? A wide and interesting range of material. There's one of the books that we had a lesson about weddings, and then it's weddings in Japan. What do I know about weddings in Japan? Nothing. But they did tell you, and then we talk about weddings in Japan. Let's compare those to weddings in Brazil, weddings in the United States. Who has a picture of their wedding? Sure enough, Carlos had pictures on his phone. It was very interesting. Security. If you follow the teacher's book, you feel better. You feel more secure. I know where I'm going, and I know where the teacher after me needs to be. You have work that students can do on their own. Okay, so you give them sort of activities to write, to read, to discuss among themselves. It's a source of practical teaching ideas. If you read it, it's got the warm-up, extra ideas. If you finish too fast, or for that one student who does everything in 5 minutes and everyone else takes 15 minutes, what do you do with that guy? Okay, they give you ideas how to handle that. A basis for comparison and discussion. So I know, my students this semester are doing better than the ones that last semester. Why is that? Let's talk about that with the teachers. Different things like that. Oh, homework. You need to give them homework. As much as I hate correcting homework, we do. And a way to pass on your class to the next teacher. You can say, we did this, we did this, we did this, and you better do what you're supposed to do because you mess up the next teacher who's already planning the lesson. We did this, we did this, we did this, but, and this happens to me all the time, we got involved in a discussion. We didn't do the last activity on the student's book page. Remember to do that, okay? So, and everybody's cool with that, okay? Oh, God. So, another source for ideas. Do not scratch your head, okay? Is to ask the CPME people. They have some great online sheets to tell you what to do, ideas, things like that. The other teachers in your group, the coordinators, if you have problems, they're very, very happy to answer your questions. Everybody is very, very nice, and they want you to succeed. Nobody wants to see you have a hard time. They want you to come back. They want you to be happy. They want you to keep teaching, so they're there to help you with that, okay? Now, I want you to use your book. Use your book. Read it. But, okay, and I mean this seriously, I do mean for you to read the lesson and to look at the lesson and be prepared in advance for everything that's going to happen on the page. However, I have had students where I have said, good morning, and then what page is that? They get to the Miami airport and they realize that there was nothing on they hadn't prepared for that. They didn't bring the correct book along to deal with the Miami airport. And that's rough. So we want them to use their book, and I want you to make sure that they follow everything that's in the book. But there are going to be plenty of situations where your students, they never like this kind of activity. This class hates this. Why am I going to do it? Nobody here wants to do music or all, you know. So you've got to kind of have a little bit of flexibility to get out of the book sometimes, okay? And I have this big but because we are preparing our students for lots of things. We're preparing them for academic success. Maybe they need to pass the ENEM, okay? We're preparing them to get to work. They're in your class because they could get a promotion at work, or they've been asked to do this by their bosses, or they know that they need it for the professional life. And they're going to travel. This is my daughter Natalie when she was in about 8th grade, and we went to the Brooklyn Bridge, and instead of taking pictures of each other, I took a picture of her standing next to different people on the bridge. You know, can I take a picture? She wants, can she take a picture with you? You want us to take a picture of you? No, I want us to take a picture of you and her. And so we have a whole bunch of really stupid pictures of her with different people on the bridge. She had a great time. We had a great time with that one. We need to be able, we want to prepare them to travel, to go out into the world and to have fun. And they're not going to find the fun on page 62. They find the fun outside of page 62, okay? So you've got to prepare them whenever possible to do an activity with the book closed. Let's just talk a little bit. You know, that grammar point that we used, let's just talk a little bit. And that's what caused my student to cry, was because I was asking her to do things outside of the book, and it turns out she couldn't remember 2 sentences, like, I love him, he's my husband. She could remember one or the other, but not both. And I said, how could you not remember both? Okay, I was kind of being not very nice, I guess. I don't know, but it was good. Anyway, not good. We're preparing students for lots and lots of things, and the book will get them there, but we also need to remember that there are things outside of the book, and that you, as English speakers, have a lot to contribute to their development outside of the book, okay? You've got to follow the book and get through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that the next teacher is prepared. But at the same time, you've got a big luxury at CPM. Okay? So the question is, what do we do with the book, okay? So at Pró-Mundo, you have the craziest thing. Those of you who are already English teachers know that most of our classes, if we have a 1-hour class, that's a pretty big deal, okay? Some of our classes are 1 hour and 15 minutes, okay? That's a really big deal. And the material that we're supposed to cover is correspondent to 1 hour and 15 minutes. At CPM, you have a huge luxury, which is that you have a 3-hour class, okay? My students like to take their snack break. I don't. I'm like, I got 3 hours. I'm going to teach you for 3 hours. They're like, no, we want to go have some coffee. Okay, go. You have 15 minutes, okay? I'm kind of mean that way. Did you see the movie Whiplash? Yeah. Okay. And so you have 3 hours, and that is a huge luxury. It's like having that kind of plane. It's like having a nap on Saturday afternoon when you're finished with this, right? It's a big, big luxury to have 3 hours, and the English teachers here know that. So that gives you time to do some really interesting things with your students that are not in the book. For example, you might have a conversation. What did you do last week? What did you do last weekend? What I often do is, my students are the more advanced ones, I make little cards, like, I went to the, como se diz? Parque de sei lá o quê. Okay, then I write the Parque de sei lá o quê on a paper, and then I put on the other side, I do one side Portuguese, one side English. My daughter says, you're not supposed to do the translation method. Okay, whatever. You know, my husband is, como se diz, advogado. Okay, lawyer. So you put lawyer on one side. This is what I do. And then I show them those cards, and they actually learn the vocabulary. You have time to have discussions, okay? In 3 hours, you have time to maybe play a game. They love games. My students, it doesn't matter who they are. Submarine engineers on Avenida Paulista love games, okay? You have time to do listening activities. Listening activities are really important. Listening to you is important, okay? They don't listen enough. You have time for them to do presentations, okay? You can do presentations. They can do presentations. They can do group presentations. You have time to check homework. My personal view is that it's a big waste of time, but then why do you ask them to do it if you're not going to check it? So we check it, okay? I just hate that. I hate tests and I hate homework, but those are both part of the thing, and it needs to be done. Doesn't matter if I hate it or not. Who cares? Okay, it's a thing. You have time to do plays, okay? They could do all kinds of theatrical productions. This is more dramatic than anything I've ever seen my students do, but they could do it. They could do kind of music videos or songs or all kinds of fun activities like that, okay? In 3 hours, you have to go from point A to point B. CPM tells you where point A is and point B is. You have to go from point A to point B, but you have 3 hours, you can do it like that, okay? And that is awesome. That's really the way to do it, is to try to have as much fun and do as many things and to use as much conversation, as much talking, as much listening as you possibly can, okay? Are you guys beginning to feel better? Yeah. You follow that teacher's book and then you use your good sense, your good idea of what is fun, and there's no way that you don't have fun just to have fun. You have fun if it applies to the grammar or the vocabulary or the functional language or whatever it is. Fun. Fun has to relate to the lesson, but there's plenty of ways that you can play games, and I'll show you some, that will relate to the lesson, okay? All of this, teaching is really, really fun if you are planned and prepared. Teaching is fun. You'll have a really good time. Teaching is not fun if you are scared. I'm going to just give you a little bit of teaching theory really quick. Super fast teaching theory. If you follow the teacher's book, you don't really need this. If you try to deviate from the teacher's book, you will find that you will get yourself lost in the woods of some of this. Okay, there's a thing called PPP. Most publishers don't like to say that they do PPP because it's sort of old-fashioned, but PPP is the way all learning happens for the most part. Okay, there's exceptions, but for the most part, learning happens like PPP. What is PPP? Presentation, practice, production. You have to present something, and then you practice something, and then your students can produce it, okay? I'll give you an example. If you're learning to tie shoes, we don't tell babies, tie your shoes. They see you, mother, tying the shoes. They see the father tying the shoes. They see their brothers and sisters tying the shoes. They watch, they watch, they watch, they watch. That's a presentation of something that they're trying to learn, right? Reading books. We don't tell babies to read their own books. Give them a big fat Dante and tell them to read it. No, we read to them. They see us reading books, and we read books to them. That is a presentation of literature, in a sense. Exercise. I see somebody at Pilates doing that way before I think about doing it, which is, I do not think about doing that, okay? But I see people doing it. Okay? It's a presentation of something that I might aspire to someday, okay? So you have the presentation. You have to present something, okay? One way of the presentation is what we saw in that book there. The publishers often give you pictures, and then they say, look at the pictures. They're presenting, what are we doing in this lesson? Picture of a Japanese wedding, picture of a British wedding. Let's look at the two pictures, and before we start talking, before we know the vocabulary, before we know anything, let's look at the two pictures and see what we see that is different. That's a presentation, right? Another one is what I often do, which is to use flashcards to present something. This is easier if you teach children because the books come with them, but presentation with flashcards. If you have a vocabulary list, where do you get flashcards? You can buy them if you're rich, like really rich, okay? You can adopt a book that has them. Most of the books we use do not have them because they're not for children. You can make them, which means I can't draw, which means I have to download clip art and stuff like that, and it's just a mess, and it's never the right size, and then you have to cut it out. And then I saw an idea that is the perfect idea, which is, you ask the students to make them, which means you give them a little card, and you say, for example, one group I had of teenagers, we were learning bedroom vocabulary, lamp, closet, bed, table, nightstand, all of those things, desk, chair. And I didn't have time to make the flashcard, so I gave them the card, and then I said, you will draw a picture of a lamp, you will draw a picture of this, you will draw a picture, but I don't want to draw a picture of that. Okay, then change with him, I don't care. Change. But let's go. You have 1 minute to draw a picture of that thing. Go, quickly, we don't have time for this. Here's a pen, here's a pen, here's a pen, here's a pen. Oh, you have a pen, good. Okay, draw a picture of the thing, and they did. So what is this? It's a lamp, right? It's Camilla's lamp. Camilla drew this lamp. It's not perfect, but it's better than what I could do, okay? And she did it in 1 minute. What's that? It's actually, he drew a wardrobe, and I said, actually, it's a closet, which means it's embuchido, right? So you need to make it embuchido, so he drew the walls around it. So it's a closet, okay? I did one. What's that? That's me. Ha ha, I'm good, I know. We did bed. One of them drew a beautiful bed, but they kept saying bad, bad. They couldn't pronounce bad and bed, so I drew a bad bed. Isn't that a bad bed? Yeah, that's a bad bed. I wouldn't sleep there. That looks terrible. So that's a bad bed. And so we were able to practice the two different pronunciations of those things, okay? So if you have vocabulary, either you do like maybe those little cards with the Portuguese on one side and the English on the other. Everything you do quickly. Don't take a lot of time, make them sit there and watch you do those cards. Do it quickly, okay? I get note cards and cut them in half, okay, big stack of them. Or you ask them to help you with some of these things, okay? Flashcards help them to learn the vocabulary. But no matter what, in your presentation of the thing, the teacher's books know that you're going to do a presentation and they will show you how to do the presentation. It will give you ideas. They might not say, here's your presentation idea, okay? It might not say that, but it will say, here's a warm-up activity. Everything, the book is in that order: presentation, practice, production. Presentation, practice, production. Presentation, practice, practice, production. Your book will always be in that order, okay? Always. Every lesson should have some element of that if it's teaching something new. Presentation, practice, and production. And so they will tell you, if you follow this, you'll get there, okay? Then you have practice, okay? A kid learning to tie the shoes is eventually going to start tying his own shoes and make mistakes, and make more mistakes, and make more mistakes. Mistakes are good. And our students don't like to make mistakes, but mistakes are good, okay? So you might have practice, might be these grammar activities, right? That's a form of practice for grammar. If you have a vocabulary, you might have a game, which is practicing the vocabulary. At the practice level, we're making mistakes all the time, all the time. You'd think, hearing my Portuguese, I'm still at practice level. I probably am. You got to practice, 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 playing games, doing all kinds of different things. Come on. All right, well then, it wants to skip two. Oh, so again, with practice, let your teacher's book help you with this. Your teacher's book has the practice in it. Okay? And the workbook is practice also, but I don't think that using classroom time to do homework, reading and writing is the best use of the classroom time. They can do reading and writing at home. So don't do the homework in class unless you really don't have anything to do. And if you do the homework in class, don't let them write in their book. Make them put their pencil down and say, let's do number 1 here in your homework book, in your workbook. And then they're going to go crazy because they want to write it now because they'll get it done. No, we're just going to do it speaking. Number 1, you. My dog is or was beautiful, or whatever. That's not a very good example. My dog is, Adolf Hitler is or was a bad man. And then they're going to want to circle was, and you say, no, just put your pencil down. Was, good, why? Because he's dead, why? Good. Okay, I always also ask the question why a lot. Why did you choose that? Because he's dead. Good. So then you would use the past tense. Good. Thank you. Okay. Finally, production. Now it's time for the students to use the language that they've learned in the lesson. Okay? Finally, but you couldn't use a word that you've never been taught. Isn't that correct? Right. You have to be presented with the word, you practice the word, and then you use the word. And that's true in Portuguese. I hear a word 10,000 times before I actually notice, hey, there's a word. And then I practice using it all wrong. Bolsa, bolso. That took me forever. What's the difference between a bolsa and a bolso? And when, okay? And then finally I'm able to use it, usually. I still make mistakes. So again, for production, you might have pair work opportunities where they talk to each other. You might have group discussions where we all talk. We're using this new language. We're still making mistakes, but we're using the new language to talk about some different things, okay? You might have them doing some presentations for one another. That's sheer production, okay? And then finally they go home and do their reading and writing, which is the homework. That's production, Again, they've learned it, now they're ready to do it at home. Okay? Everybody calm? Clear? Awake? Good. Finally, your teacher's book is going to help you with production ideas, things you can do at this point. Okay? Now, there are 4 skills in a classroom. What are the 4 skills that we teach in the classroom? Reading, writing, listening, speaking. Good. Let's see here. We got listening, speaking, reading, writing. I'm a gringa in Sao Paulo, right? Which one of these is most important to me? We got 2. It's got speaking and listening. The truth is, have any of you had that situation where someone says, "Oh, how old are you?" And you say, "I'm fine, thank you." Right? I do that every day in Portuguese. Stupid. Okay? Bolsa, bolso. Listening is the most important thing that your students need. They're going to need lots of opportunities to listen. That does not mean only the audio material that comes from the book. That means you. That means listen to each other. I have too many times that when I ask a student a question, that student's paying attention, everyone else is doing this. I'm like, listen, I'm asking him a question, and I am soon going to ask you the same question, and you the same question, so what he says will help you, so let's listen to each other. He's going to tell a story. Some of the things in his story you might need when you tell me about your weekend. The past tense and some of the vocabulary. Listen to each other. Don't just, a lot of them have a tendency to space out and don't listen to each other. Listening is the most important. After listening, what do I need here in Sao Paulo? Speaking. You ask me a question, I need to answer the question. What's next after that? Reading. And then, I don't know if you feel this in English, but when the moment comes to write something in Portuguese, I have a little moment, like, oh, God, write in Portuguese. It's not my strongest. My strongest is listening, and that's the correct order. You want to be able to understand something? Answer. Read something? Write. So writing, they can take that home. Using the classroom time when they could be listening to you and speaking, I think the classroom time needs to be spent doing that. The teacher's book will give you occasional moments of ask your students to read this, ask your students to write that. Okay, but try to keep that as short as you can, because this is their only opportunity to listen, and to listen to you and listen to each other. Okay? All right. Those are the, so we have 2 kind of teaching techniques, which are PPP, presentation, in that order, and then the 4 skills that we're going to teach our students, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, okay? That's just teacher talk, but it'll come up, and it's important to remember those things. They're not the number 1 most important thing, okay? So, you got to let your teacher's book help, again, with some of those things, all right? Finally, you're going to have fun. This is really fun. I can't ever find a picture. Last Halloween, at my place in Monte Azul, we had a Halloween. We're supposed to wear costumes. I came as a Vollen zombie. And I'll find that picture someday. I lost the picture. But I dressed like a zombie, and I had blood all over my clothes, and I had a baseball bat that I threatened my students with, and it was great. I washed my hair and dried it standing straight up. It does do that, believe it or not. It takes a lot of hairspray. Okay. And one way to do it is to play games. I love to play games with my students, and you don't have to have like sophisticated American games. Apples to Apples is good. Anything that gets them talking, okay? Monopoly, that's a long game, but you can play a game, again, if it works to your lesson, if it works to your unit, what you're doing. Don't just play a game because I like games, okay? It needs to fit, it needs to have a reason that you're doing it, okay? Even a game like Pandemic, which I can never remember the rules because I'm too old, but it's any kind of game like that that gets them talking is good, okay? One more game that I play a lot with my students is called Around the World. People who went to PACA will know this game. My students love this game, okay? And I'm going to give you an example of how it's played, okay? Can I have 5 volunteers come up on the stage? Let's go. 5. 1. Come on. 2. 3, 4. We got it. Great. Everyone who's standing up, come up. Come on up. No, you. Come. We want you. Please. Come. All right. Normally we do this With chairs. Where's he going? Here he comes. All right. I'm just not going to use the mic. Can you hear me? Yeah. Right. Great. I want you to come here. Everybody else sit down in the row. You can do this with chairs. We don't have chairs on the stage. I forgot. Okay. What do we have here? These are our flashcards. In this case, on one side, I have an irregular verb. What is the past tense of this simple past tense of this verb? Rain. Rained, right? Okay? So we're going to, let's imagine that we presented and we practiced and we produced, and now we're going to play a game so that we see if they can remember that. Okay? It's called Around the World. You come with me. You stand behind me. Okay? I'm going to show both of you a verb, and you have to tell me what the simple past is. Why? Yesterday I fought. Okay, whoever, now you guys have to play it. Whoever says it first will move here. If you get it first, you stand up behind her and behind the car. You have to stand up and go there, and you sit down. Okay? So we're going to see, and somebody's going to try to travel all the way around the world. Ready? Go. Good. You got it. You sit. Now you. Now you two are going to compete. You and him. Ready? Ready? Good. Now you two. You two are going to compete. What is the simple past of this verb? Who said it first? Oh, look, I got a microphone guy. Huh? Okay, well, let's do it again. They might have been together. Good. You ready? I'll give you a different one here. Good. Man, that was a hard one. Okay, you ready? Now we're done. Oh, my microphone guy. I have a servant. Okay, ready? Okay. You ready? Look at him, we gotta beat him. What is this? Okay, ready? Oh, this is hard, this is hard. Huh. Come on. Who said it first? You tied, okay. Oh, this is a good one. No. Okay, he's going round and round like crazy. Do you understand how the game works? Thank you. Okay, so give a hand to our volunteers. Woo! Thank you. My students love, 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 love this game. If you have any kind of flashcards, even remember I told you, what did you do last weekend? My father or my husband is an advogado lawyer. You can do it with those cards. Every so often. Okay, get in a row, okay, get behind her chair, go. And then, but they learn it, okay? Nobody cries, I promise. I feel so bad about that. That was terrible. Okay. So, one game that we can play is Around the World. Another 20 questions. Do you know how to play that one? You have 20 questions. I'm going to think of a famous person. A famous person. Okay, let me think. It has to be hard. No, not Neymar. Not Neymar. We're mad at him. Are we mad at him? Are we? No. He did his best, sort of. Let me think. It has to be someone I know. Let me think. I'm suddenly stuck. Okay, I got it. Okay, I thought of somebody famous. You have 20 questions to guess who it is. Okay? You can only ask questions that I can say yes or no to. Okay? I can't. And if you ask, is it Donald Trump? And it's not, you lose 2 points. Oh, so be careful when you start doing that. So I have someone famous. And when I do this with the students, sometimes I have a secretary. And the secretary takes notes on the board. Not a doctor. Not American. Yes, Italian, okay? just so we can keep track. Okay, you ready? Who wants to start? I've got my person. Yes.
Is it female?
Is it female? No. Is it male? Do we want to allow that question? That's fine with me. Is it male? Okay, no. There, he's.
Is it Brazilian?
Is this man Brazilian? No. Is he alive? Yes. Is he a singer? Who asked that? Yes. Ooh, good question. Dang it. That's bad for me. Yes. Is he what? Yes. No. No. Is he British? Yes. Do we want to ask, is he Mick Jagger? That's going to lose 2 points if it's not. Do we want to ask, is it Mick Jagger? Yes? No! Woo! 2 points for me. It is not Mick Jagger. I'm so happy. Okay? Yes? Is he Freddie Mercury? Do you want to ask 2 questions and lose? No. Okay. Does his last name begin with the letter M? Do you want to ask that? Go. Does his last name begin? Yes. All right. Do we want to ask Paul McCartney, Freddie Mercury? Was he in the Beatles? Now we're on number 11. Yes. Oh, ding it, ding it, ding it. Is he over 60? Yeah, one of the Beatles who is over 60. Yes. Yes, then what? Is he Paul McCartney? Do we want to ask that? Yes. Let's think. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and George Harrison. Okay, Paul McCartney? Yes. You got it in 14. Woo! Okay, why is it, this is a game I play with my students all the time. Why is it a good game? Number one, because our students want to go, he is a man. I go, that's not a question. Okay, so what do we have to do to turn that into a question? Is he a man? His name begin with letter M? Let's turn it into a question. Does his name begin with the letter M? For Brazilian students who, in Portuguese, you just go at the end, you don't have any real big changes to your grammar structure to make questions. In English, we do. So this is forcing them to learn how to ask questions. And you don't, if they don't ask a grammatically correct question, it doesn't count. Okay? I'll take that question when it's a question. He is a man is not a question. Is he a man? Oh, now I can hear you. Okay? That's a great game for that reason. The other reason is we forget that we're shy. We forget that we don't want to speak English. We forget that maybe we don't speak perfectly because we want to get the thing. We want to figure it out. I know. So it helps the students to lose their inhibitions because they want to talk. They kind of, in a game, you kind of forget all of your other neuroses and you move on, okay? So have you memorized this game? Okay. Another one, opa. My finger. Grandma is a strange one, okay? You can play this one, too, for a little more advanced students, which would be, for example, she likes something, but she doesn't like something. So we'll think of one. Okay. She likes apples, but she doesn't like bananas. Okay? What does my grandma like? Do you guys have any questions? Like, does she like this? To try to figure out what it is. She likes apples. She doesn't like bananas. When she goes in the forest, she doesn't like mooses, but she likes aardvarks. Does anyone have a question about my grandma? Are you seeing a pattern here? When she goes to the United States, she eats fast food. What she eats, where does she never eats at McDonald's, but she eats it at that place that serves those roast beef sandwiches, Arby's. Does anyone have a question about my grandma? Does she like, huh? The picture won't help you. You want to see the picture again? Not my grandma, really. That's not my grandma. Okay. Who's got a question?
Does she like yellow?
Does she like traveling? No. Does she like? Honey? No. She loves Amsterdam. She loves Amsterdam. Wheat? No. She likes Amsterdam. The wheat? No. Huh? Does she like what? Parties? No, no parties for my grandma. What you got here?
Does she like things that start with the letter A?
Do you guys want to guess that one? Do you think that's the rule? Let's test the rule for a second. Ask two more. Airplanes. She loves airplanes. Ah, what else? Does she like, what's another one? Nope. She loves America. Barack Obama's America. All right. So she likes, she doesn't like. The reason this is a good is because you get into the does she like. Your students want to say, she likes Amsterdam? That's not a question. Get the grammar right, all right? So she likes baseball, but she doesn't like soccer. Here's some examples. So she might like things with two legs. It doesn't have to be letters. It could be, she likes chickens, she doesn't like dogs. She likes humans, she doesn't like cows, okay? You might have something like things with 3 syllables, okay? She likes bananas. She doesn't like apples, okay? She might like things at McDonald's. She likes hamburgers, not hot dogs. Cheeseburgers, not onion rings, okay? 4-letter words. This gets really complicated. It'll kill your students. But it gets into a lot of if you're trying to get them to use does, this works. Things that are red. Okay, there's lots of categories you can invent. Maybe she isn't born yet. So you could say, someday I'm going to have a baby. My baby will like. Okay, so if you're trying to work another grammar point, my baby, will she like this? Maybe. Okay? Maybe she died. Did she like? Did, to use the past tense. Maybe she's not here right now. If she were here right now, would she like? Okay, just different grammar situations that you could invent for that. Okay? And then there's one last game that you can play with really advanced students like you guys. Okay? That's, again, good for all kinds of question asking. Do you know the game Coffee Pot? Have you ever played that? To coffee pot is the verb I'm going to use. Let me think. Okay. All right. I have a verb in my head. You have to guess what the verb is by asking me questions like, do you like to coffee pot? And then I'll tell you, and then you have to kind of figure it out. Who wants to start? Do I coffee pot in the morning? Sometimes. Huh? Anybody else? Do I coffee pot alone? No. Well, sometimes. But I'm never alone. But what I coffee pot alone, but I'm not alone when I coffee pot. All right? That's weird. Okay. What else you got? Yes, sir. No, you have to kind of ask me, like, okay, I'm supposed to say yes or no. Do I coffee pot every day? No way. That's part of, yeah, I can. It's not the main thing. Do I coffee pot on the weekends? Do I coffee pot on the weekends? Yeah, now, because, yes, I coffee pot on Saturdays. Oh, that's a big clue. Yes? Is coffee potting good for my health? Yeah, I don't know. It's not bad for my health. It's not good or bad for my health. Am I coffee potting now? No. No. Is coffee potting my profession? Coffee potting is one of the things I do in my profession. Yes, it's one part of my professional life. Huh? Do I like coffee pot? Usually, when I'm not making my coffee pots cry. Anybody got an idea what it is? What? Teaching, yeah. Okay, so you can get a verb. Now, what have you done? Do you like Coffee potting. How often do you coffee pot? Do you coffee pot in the morning? Can you coffee pot alone? Do you coffee pot alone? Did you coffee pot today already? All of these verb tenses are being swirled around in there. It's a good game for your students if they're advanced enough to learn all of those, to know all of those verb tenses and know how to use them. Okay? Is that clear? Okay, so I gave you 5 games, didn't I? Around the world, 20 questions. Grandma's a strange one. Coffee pot, 4. Sorry. 4 games, okay? And let's see what we got here. So, are we clear about what do you do to be a teacher? This is the very, very basic. You're going to read the teacher's book, correct? Very basic. You're going to read the teacher's book. You're going to do it in advance, before the class, way before the class, a week if you can. Most do it on Friday night. Back when they used to have Dropbox, I would see everybody going into Dropbox on Friday night, some on Saturday morning. Ooh. And most of all, you're going to love your students and have a great time, okay? We're done. That's it. Thank you. Ah.